Tim on two wheels here. Today in the bike shed, I'm going to be working on a set of Bing carburetors from a 1978 BMW R80. This is the first time I've worked on Bing carburetors, so it's been a lot of research. Okay, we have a Bing 6432202. Slide is not free in here. Let's get this off. I had this open last night, so all of these screws should come apart pretty easy. And I looked this up, and on the flat top Bing carburetors, there is no slide spring. This one is pretty gummy, as you can see. It's got a little bell that holds the bowl on, kind of like an old mason jar. Little crud inside here. Float pins are knurled on one end, which I do not care for. Makes me really nervous. I don't want to break off one of these posts. I'm going to need to float this float to see if it's okay. Apparently with age they get heavier and they don't float as high as they should. All right. Main jet out. Oh yeah, that stopped up. Looks like it's a number 10 on there maybe. I'll have to clean that up and read that correctly and get my chart out. See what it should be on here. And pilot jet here. Notice a nice pretty green color. Ethanol. Oh yeah, completely stopped up as well. Well, okay, that is way too hard. I'm going to soak this in the ultrasonic for a while before I try to get that out. Idle mixture screw, wow. Okay, so my camera died during the teardown, so let's jump in and see where we're at now. Okay, I got the carburetors torn down and cleaned. These things were really nasty. Not the worst that I've seen, but pretty nasty. Everything cleaned up pretty well. The float needles are no longer serviceable. I have got some on the way, so I'm waiting for that, and also a gasket for the vacuum fitting. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this one, This will be the, I believe, right hand side. And let's get into it. Okay, as I said, I've got everything cleaned up. It's all looking good. Got the new diaphragms installed on the slides. These plastic rings will come off to change the diaphragm. It is a real pain in the ass. Everything else, I've got the O-rings already installed on the throttle shaft, pilot jet, the main jet holder, and on the enricher or choke mechanism. Okay, I'm going to get started by assembling the enriching mechanism. This disc goes in here. These are actually marked left and right. There's a small R there, it's hard to see. This slides in here. It's got an O-ring that seals it. There's a little divot here that points toward this housing. Then the arm fits on here with the whole of that also pointing in the same direction. This thing's spring loaded, so you have to make sure it pushed all the way in. There's a washer that goes on here, then the nut. This is an 11mm wrench. It's kind of odd for a Japanese bike, but maybe on German bikes it's common. Okay, a little gasket that goes on here. Put a little bit of lubrication on this so it'll rotate freely. There's 4 screws that hold this on. Just making sure that rotates freely. Okay, I'm going to install the throttle shaft and the butterfly. This has 2 countersunk holes here that face up, and this has a dot on it that faces out and also up. There's a very slight taper on this edge so that when it shuts it seals properly. Very tiny screws hold this in. I'm going to use just a little bit of blue Loctite. Don't want these falling out, getting sucked into the engine. That would probably be a bad day. You don't want to tighten them all the way up yet. Get this throttle bracket in place. There's a groove on the shaft that engages this slot, and that's what keeps the throttle shaft from moving about. Now you want to make sure the butterfly is centered in the throat of the carburetor. Hold it up to the light. You want the least amount of light showing around it that you can get. Looks pretty good right there. There's a little stink bug helping me out. Alright, guy, you need to go. Come on. Okay, we'll go ahead and finish the throttle linkage on this side. These two plates, another washer and nut. This is 11mm again. Adjust this idle stop screw a little bit so we can tighten against that. Okay, then the spring goes on. Well, it'd help if I get it on the right side. There it is. There we go. Okay, now in here we have the, not sure, I can't remember what they call these, atomizer, almost the Japanese carburetors, they call this an emulsion tube. There's two parts here, they go together, go up in here. Let's see if I can control this install a little better. Once you get it in place, you'll be able to see it sticking up in the venturi of the carburetor. This is the holder that holds that down. This one is a 10 millimeter. You can see the brass sticking through there. I'm going to look in here, make sure that it's centered and concentric. Go ahead and snug this down. And the main jet screws right into that. This was completely blocked, as was the pilot jet, as was the needle seat. Everything was blocked. Okay, this is a 8 millimeter. There's a pilot jet. Idle mixture screws, got a spring goes on that. It's all pretty conventional stuff. And the information I got was this was turned out 1/2 turn, which seems like a very small amount. I may have to make adjustments on that later. Let's get it running. Okay, the float needle I am waiting on, so I can't assemble that yet. So we will put the waiting on the float needle. I'm just going to go ahead and set this on without the gasket for now, just to make it easier to flip over and work on the slide. And this has a little clip that holds the bowl on. Pretty cool. Okay, get the slide installed. I said this diaphragm I replaced it. You have to heat this plastic ring up a little bit, pry it off. It's a real job to do. Put just a little bit of light lubricant on this, just because I don't know how long it'll be until this gets put back on the bike. There's a small tab on the diaphragm that lines up with a notch on the top of the carburetor. Get that in place. And as I said on the teardown, this carburetor does not have a return spring on the slide, which is very odd. Oh, there we go. Okay. There's 2 screws that hold the top on. And that's pretty much all I can do for right now. As I said, I've got the needle for the float coming. I got the float hinge pin. There is a small plug here for this vacuum port. I got a gasket coming for that as well. And once I get those pieces, throw those in, be good to go. Okay, I got the rest of the parts in to finish these carburetors up. Got the needles. Got the little tiny wire retainers that attach it to the tab on the floats. And I got the gaskets for the little vacuum port plugs. Finish these things up. Okay, do the easy part first. Put this little gasket on this vacuum port plug. Now the most tedious part. To get this little retainer on this needle. Not sure if you're going to be able to see this. Ooh. There's a tiny little hole in the end of that and a tiny little wire. Just clips on there. And then that goes right over the tab on the float. Okay. Before I put that knurled part in there, I'm going to check the float level. Needle makes contact right about there, and this is supposed to be parallel with the edge of the float carburetor body. That looks pretty good. Go ahead and get this seated in here. Put the bowl gasket on. The bolt. Yep. Wrong side. New gasket is pretty thick. Here we go. Okay, that's done. Time to put it on the bike, see how she runs.